Australia's most promising Olympic hopefuls has had his dreams dashed, blindsided by a decision ruling him out of this year's Games. Now a campaign is underway to get him to Paris.
Liam Adams thought he was all set for Paris 2024. Good work, Liam! The 37-year-old Melbourne Sparky and two-time Olympian was just shy of the qualifying time for entry to this year's Games, but was still certain he'd made the cut. 80 spots were said to be up for grabs for the men's marathon. 70 went to runners who satisfied the required entry time. It was believed the remaining 10 spots would be filled via world rankings. Liam ranked 74th.
We were all under the impression that you finished in the top 80 and you'd be going to the Olympics.
But that's not what happened. Those remaining spots instead going to universality places, spots reserved for athletes who come from underrepresented National Olympics Committee in a bid to increase diversity.
It's hard to compute, really.
Universality places are places for athletes from countries that wouldn't have athletes compete at the Olympics otherwise. A country gets to have their best ranked athlete compete at the Olympic Games.
It's a move Liam says wasn't clearly communicated at all, instead believing the universality entrants would be given additional places.
I felt like it was a kind of nightmare. I was just wondering how it all happened.
I think in this situation there was probably a bit of miscommunication. A lot of athletes were probably a little bit in the dark, so to miss out in this situation would be heartbreaking.
Now, a petition has been launched calling for the athletes disqualified due to the ruling to be reinstated.
Most of the athletes want to see the universality athletes competing at the Olympics, but they don't want athletes that qualified via the normal process to miss out. So if there can be a way to find a place for both, that would be fantastic.
If push comes to shove and the whole issue is the amount of beds in the village, I'm very happy to pay for my own hotel room if it means I can get on that start line.
The marathon man himself is here to make his case. Liam, let's start with this. How did you find out this news?
Well, it was last Thursday. I received a phone call from Athletics Australia and they told me they didn't know what had happened and that 11 universality athletes had been added and displaced the last 10 which were ranked in the 80 quota. So it was just an absolute shock. I thought it was a nightmare because no one knew this could happen and you're just having one of your lifetime dreams just being taken from underneath you.
Liam, how could Athletics Australia not know this previously?
I don't think anyone knew this was possible. So previous Olympics and qualification periods, they had, if it was a capped field, there would be additional athletes, which were universality athletes, added on top of the field. And there was actually a race on the last day of the qualification period, which was going for the last few ranking spots. So, yeah, no one knew this was going to happen and we just all can't comprehend it. So I believe there's a bit of a misjudgment. Previous policy, the actual policy states that they thought that 50% would qualify through performance, which was a time quicker than 2:08.10, and then the last 50% would qualify through ranking. And that's what we all thought we'd achieved. I had done my calculations about 3 months out and thought I was pretty safe and decided not to do another marathon because of it.
Who are you upset with here, Liam?
I'm absolutely unsure. So I don't know where this decision's came from. Basically, I think the whole issue is there's a lack of beds in the village because they've added all these sports to the Olympics, so they've had to take away from field events and track events.
Liam, were there things that you may have done differently if you had known how these universality places were going to be allocated?
Oh, 100%. So I honestly believe I could get that time and I thought I was going to get it at Berlin Marathon, but I caught a flight a couple of days before Berlin Marathon next to a guy who was coughing his guts out, and on race morning I ended up waking up sick and I thought I'd qualify there, but I didn't. And then I thought I was pretty safe with the points, and if I had have known, I would have gone for another marathon, and I know that I could achieve that time. I just kind of did my calculations that I'd be safe, and instead of spending some of my life savings towards doing another marathon, which I'd already spent about 20 grand. I think it was about 11 grand in preparations for Gold Coast Marathon, and it was about 9 grand for preparations for Berlin Marathon. So I thought, I'm safe in the quota. I'll ride it out, and then I'll spend that money towards a big preparation for the Olympics. So,
Liam, you've done so much preparation for this. This is obviously a dream of yours. Do you think in your guts that there is a chance they could rethink this and you could make it to Paris? And if they don't, are you going to train for 2028?
well, it's obviously going to be absolutely shattering for me. I've been kicked down a fair bit in my athletic career, and I've generally been able to rub it off. I kind of feel like I can use this as a fuel to go on and do greater things, and hopefully in 4 years' time train for the next Olympics.
Well, you're not done yet, so we wish you the best of luck between here and the Olympics. Thanks for your time, Liam.
Cheers, thanks for that, guys.